Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. There doesn't seem to be a time in recent memory where the impact of change hasn't been profound. In fact, even after the pandemic has eased, I feel the rumblings of a more profound shift than that created happening in the world. And yes, you can look to the political landscape, the transformations in technology. Every day there's lots about that, environmental changes. And you can see that, and that kind of profound shift in all of those aspects. But if you want to understand and embrace the potential that I feel like is being revealed, and I feel like it's happening as there's been this unearthing of the truth, of things having to stand in the light of day. And if we want to understand that, a shift in consciousness is needed. So I've invited my special guest today who has deep experience in shifting her consciousness and the resulting impact that has had in her life. I'm Laurie Seymour, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and CEO and founder of the Baca Institute, home of the Quantum Connection Process. Head over there to discover your unique connection with the essence of who you are by taking the Quantum Connection quiz. We are each designed to directly connect with Source differently in our own unique way. And so knowing your own style, which is what you will see in that quiz, opens you to a deeper connection with yourself. That is the secret to creating that connection with yourself, to creating what you truly want in your life. Because you are exactly who is needed. So my guest today is Moon Tucker. I can't wait for you to meet her. We've been having conversations that we have to say, hold on, we got to save this for recordings because they're that juicy. She is a transformation guide, a Kambo Practitioner, a history-making Paralympic Archer, speaker, and yoga instructor who is helping women access their deep inner truth and optimize their life. Now, I just want to stop what I'm saying about Moon and just say, just because she's working with women doesn't mean if you're a man and you're listening to this, you aren't going to receive something really important for you. Moon is the founder of Moonwalker Life and host of the Let's Talk Shift podcast. In 2010, a near-death experience that left her an upper limb amputee and led her to a profound awakening. Her journey today centers on personal empowerment while building a strong community of women and reconnecting with our divine matriarchal mission and purpose during this epic time in human history. Welcome, Moon. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I feel like each time we connect, there's that kind of resonance and excitement and, oh, you're talking about that, and we suddenly find new connections.
Yeah, Laurie, thank you so much for bringing me to such a sacred place. Talking about the evolution of humanity, I think is the most sacred experience. It is the experience that we all came here for. So I'm honored to be able to sit in this space with you and just talk about what is going on and what are the opportunities and, how can we all find our center when everything seems to just be exploding and imploding at the same time. Yeah.
And that is how it seems. And I think of every single day, there's something massive that seems to be happening in the world. And so those two questions of what is happening and then how are we to be in that? Because it's not just like, okay, I'm going to stand as a tree and let all this change swirl around me. It's really, how do we engage with it?
Yeah.
So let's maybe start with, what do you see happening in the world?
I'm gonna start off with a quote from Greg Braden. And if your audience is not familiar with Greg Braden, I hope that they look him up. He's an amazing individual that has the capacity to take the complex and bring it down to the simple and actually make it relevant to the daily life and the transition that humanity is going through. And
I
was
I
watching.
interviewed him about, I don't know, 12, 14 years ago.
Oh my God. Oh, he is just divine. I just absolutely love him. And his mission, just the way he's putting it out there, is so key and critical. And I was watching a video of his. I don't remember if the title was Our Divinity, Can We Handle It, or something like that. But he was talking about our divinity. And the way he defined it is, human divinity is the ability to transcend our perceived limitations. We all have that ability, and we all have perceived limitations. And this is the time that we're in right now. It's like the snow globe, where all of the social structures and the identities and the things that we held as this keeps us safe and this keeps us grounded and this is who we are and this is what we stand for are tumbling away. And it's like, now it's the time of not personal growth. And a girlfriend and I were talking about this morning. It's like, if you look back 10 years ago, it was the, really rise of personal development into the mainstream. And I think it's just having another shift from developing this 3D body and trying to improve it, to releasing what we think this 3D body is and allowing the Christ consciousness to overtake us and express through us, which is our inner divinity. And so there is that shift, and the focus is now coming on, all right, I don't need to learn a new skill. I don't need to improve this. I don't need a new habit. I don't need a new social structure. Who am I? And the best way to answer that question is to look at who I'm not.
What do you mean by that?
Looking at, all right, what have I held as my beliefs? And this all kind of circles back to when I lost my arm and I had my near-death experience. In that beautiful transcendent experience, the divine source, God, whatever your comfort word is for that essence of creative energy that permeates and infuses every aspect of everything, in that space outside of my lower self, my little self, small self consciousness, looking at, how did this aspect of me end up in this ditch, in this situation? And I was able to, in that space, track back all my beliefs and decisions that led to that one moment. And so in that capacity, kind of that observer effect, looking at, oh, I thought I was that. I wasn't that. I'm not that. I'm not lovable. I'm not incapable. I'm not less than. And realizing that these are beliefs that I took on as identity, and I was able to drop them. So it's really looking at, what is it in me? Where did I start to believe that? Does it feel good? Does it resonate? Do I want to keep that?
Yeah.
And so moving into that space, and where I find myself and others, when we realize, oh, this doesn't resonate, well, then when we shift, so does everything in our environment, including the relationships, and we may lose connections. And who are we outside of that identity of, I am that person's daughter, brother, mother, son, best friend, confidant. And so that's what I see happening in the world right now. And so people are starting to move to different little collective communities of people that resonate. And so I think it's a global shift.
So there's so much in what you just said that I hope I can query you in a way that is in my head. So the first thing I think maybe we can touch on is, okay, you talked about that moment where you could see that which got you where you were, the limiting beliefs. And it sounds like in that moment, you also were able to make that shift. It's like they didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
is that
yeah. It was really like looking at the blueprint it's almost like I could see the true divine blueprint of me, and I could see where there were structures and forms and areas that were built on top of that didn't line up with the true self.
Yeah.
And and I had that moment in that ditch during that experience where I was suicidal when I went into that accident, when I wrecked my motorcycle. And I could have decided that this is just another thing that I screwed up. This is what I deserve. I've been planning my death anyway. Boom, out of here. Hate life. And I had that moment where I could decide I either leave that self in that ditch and I come out the new me, the true me that I've seen. And that's a hard decision because an aspect of me, those things that I was leaving in that ditch, meant that my whole world was going to shift. Right. I would lose the relationships that I thought mattered. I would lose the possessions I thought mattered. I would lose the identity that I had only known and sacrificed so much for. That's a hard decision, but that's where the freedom is. That's where
is lose really the right word?
No, absolutely. But it is the terminology that we have structured our desire to express a feeling and a thought with others, right? Lose weight. I lost the opportunity. I missed the bus. I missed joining that group. I no longer have that experience opportunity in front of me. So lose, no, but at the same time, yes, because that connection, that holding on to was severed. I could not grow into and really allow the true me to blossom and express if I'm holding on to that connection of the
right.
Of
the so lose feels almost like something being done to you. And I hear you though really saying you released it.
Yes. Yeah, I had to let go.
Yeah, which is active, which is choiceful. And you said that.
It was sovereign. It was me, the
yes.
true me, making this decision that was like, all right, I'm just going to surrender. And that Laurie is in that experience when I was in that ditch and I going through the movie of my life, kind of the just the overwhelming sense of remorse and regret. And I had messed up everything. And I realized I was dying and I only had a couple breaths left. And I went to the breath. And I, for the first time, took an inhale and felt the life force going through me.
Yeah.
And like enlivening my body as the life force was leaving. And I really just focused on the sensation of the breath. And as I did that, I surrendered. And in that moment of surrender, that's when the shift happened.
Yes.
Because I let go. And that's where it all starts. And it's all within us already. When I stopped looking outside of myself and started looking inside and then just surrendered to the unknown is when the shift happened.
So what you're speaking to so beautifully. I mean, I talk about all of this all the time, and to hear you bring your life to this, to bring your life, your death, your choices, your surrender, your conscious breath. It's so powerful. It's so eloquent and profound.
Thank you. And you hit on the thing. It was the first time I had taken a conscious breath. I had been running around like the rest of humanity on autopilot in our subconscious imprinted programming, thinking I was in control of everything, not in control of nothing, realizing I had no control, and just having this inner turmoil inside. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't, I don't think that it has to take that kind of situation. I mean, that's my experience anyway. No. I have not experienced something like that. Yeah. Mine has been, many experiences of those profound kind of choices. But how can you help our listeners relate to, how do they start with themselves? How do they start to look within? because it doesn't have to
Yeah.
take a very long time. It can be in a moment
Yep.
where you take that quantum leap.
Yep. And I had many opportunities when I look back over my life, many opportunities to just choose something different, to try and experiment and explore something different, to be curious. I think any shift starts with a choice to look at something differently or a choice to not look at something. It's getting off the rutted path. And, you know, in our society, we think, okay, I'm going to try this new hobby. And instantly the pressure is, oh, so you're taking up knitting. Now you're going to do a knitting class. You're going to like do knitting training videos. You're going to be a knitter. Instead of, no, I'm just going to like try this a couple times and see if it resonates. And, oh, I'm going to try this a couple times and see if it resonates, because we are all unique expressions of the divinity having a physical experience here to just explore the vast panoramic opportunities of the physical form, right? We went into this intentionally. And so to ease ourselves out of it and not wait for that near-death experience or that dark night of the soul that we've all already gone through, to leverage that is to just say, what if?
Yes.
What if I took a moment and got curious about something else? And I'll do it in my closet, and I'll do it with the door closed, and I'll do it in private because I'm afraid of rejection or all the things that could come along with it, but I'm gonna do it. Just get curious. And in today's day and age, it doesn't matter what you're curious about. There's somebody out there talking about it, which is beautiful.
It is. It is. And the means to discover it are available to us.
Yes, yes. And so you take that curiosity and you take the, what if what I believed isn't necessarily true? What if I am more than I have been taught? Yes. What if I am more than I have believed? What if I actually am my own guru, teacher, student, mystic, healer? What if I'm all of it? And if that what if seems a little bit too big, shrink it down to what you can handle. What if there's something different out there? What if there's a different possibility? Because that question brings in all the right connections for you, which might not be the pathway for me. As a matter of fact, it won't be the pathway for me or for you.
You have a different blueprint.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all have the same structure, right? We all have the same energy centers and the heart center and the antennas and the conscious and the subconscious. We've all got the same parts. The expression is completely different.
Yeah. And that's the beauty and the magnificence, that we don't always want to be the same vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not. You know, luckily we don't even have to make that choice. Yeah. And so much of what I see happening in the division and the separation in amongst people is where we are attached to seeing things a particular way. This is how it is, no matter what the topic is.
Yeah. And I'll die on that line for it, right?
Right.
Because it validates my known identity.
Yes. Yeah. Even thinking about something like climate change, which we say, well, yes, okay, here is the science, here are the facts. And I'm not going to dispute that, you know, because that is happening. But I spent a few days with a dear friend who was here visiting recently, who is doing her master's thesis on how consciousness, how a shift in consciousness and what becoming more conscious means in terms of creating climate change, in terms of how we deal with climate change.
Yes.
And so if we start to see that is happening in a different way than we thought, you know, and from our political polarization, what's possible? And what's possible when we have that same kind of perspective within everything in our life.
Yeah. And you hit on it right there, perspective. We'll never see anything different in our life until we shift our perspective. And it doesn't have to be permanent. That's the main point. Shift and go, all right, I like this aspect, but it doesn't really feel in alignment. We're going to shift and we're going to look at it from this aspect. It's kind of like standing in front of a great masterpiece and you shift to the right and the angle of the face and the lighting is a little bit different. We pick up that depth and we pick up this color and the whole experience starts to unify and come to life. Right. And so we have been taught to have one perspective. and have everything in our life tie in and support that. And we're in a time now where let's just play with all the perspectives and know that none of them are right and none of them are wrong, but what ones resonate.
But that brings up a whole other piece, and we touched on that before we started the recording today, and that is about discernment. And how do you know? How do you have the discernment in order to feel what resonates? Because if you're doing that from that old perspective, if you're trying to discern, does this resonate from within the limitations that you've lived in your whole life, it's going to be hard. There's not necessarily truth there. There's not necessarily that openness to see, well, yeah, this is a little dicey. This is a little scary. This is a little uncomfortable because it's new, not because it doesn't resonate, not because it's wrong for me.
Yeah. It's not going to be like putting on Cinderella slipper and go, oh, this one just fits perfect, right? It's not going to be that easy.
Mm-hmm.
But you use the key word, feel. Most people are so numbed out to feeling a spectrum of experiences and emotions in their body that what is true and what is right will feel wrong because it's not aligned with what we thought the truth was. And so one of the most, when you're getting curious about what possibility could be, and when you're kind of like challenging some of your assumptions, all the answers are within our body, Laurie. That's where our intuition and our deepest knowing and truth is. And so when you're trying to build your discernment, the first thing you need to do is go, what are my tools? And can I reconnect with myself? And so it's those embodiment practices of like, what does it feel like when I just start to regulate my own breath? When I'm feeling a sensation, where is it in my body? How does it, because the subconscious expresses in thoughts, in feelings, right?
Or maybe sensations might be a way, because I know you don't mean emotion.
No, but the emotion flows through our body and we will feel it, and it'll have color and it'll have texture and it'll have temperature. And so we're so numbed out to that, you know, sometimes when a person is excited, they think they're getting anxious because anxiety and anxious and excitement feel the same. We label them differently.
Yep.
So it's getting tuned into what am I actually feeling and where is it in my body? And can I shift it just a little bit? And so just observing our bodies and getting in tune with what is going on inside of us is an essential tool. Because how are you going to know if that's actually a truth of yours or a truth that you've been imprinted to believe? You're only going to know that if you get really familiar and feel safe within your own emotions.
And even I want to take that a step beyond, because I don't even think it's just being safe in your emotions. I think because my experience is that getting to understand that experience of truth goes beyond the emotion, because the emotion is still that personal sense. And there is something beyond that personal that we can relate to as another aspect of who we are.
Absolutely. And that, you know, that comes in layers. And that's why I'm you know, getting familiar with your breath and your system and how to regulate it and what your emotions feel like. You've got to know what all the players are so that when that divine inspiration comes through, you go, oh, I don't need to label this. This just resonates with something that is so like connected to my heart center and my soul, bypasses all of those things.
Yeah. And it has a different frequency.
It really does. It really does. And I just, in my personal experience, and this has been my personal experience, for me, I needed to make friends with this divine body that I'm in and get into partnership and in sync so that I could really get back to that moment in that ditch. How do I get back to that? Right. And that's been my journey. It's not everybody's journey. But I think that learning this, that we're living in, that we chose, that's so divine and so confused. And that's how we know what to let go.
Yeah.
And we're going to all let go of different things, right? Some people are really going to hold on to some of their beliefs that really resonate with them. And if we can get past the labels that we call God, or the labels that we call our spiritual approach, or the labels that we call our pathway, and just start to tune into our own inner energy, we will know the truth in others when we sense it, right? It's those synchronicities. We're like, oh, this is really in alignment. And I think that, as we become more in alignment with our own truth, it doesn't mean that we resonate with everybody. And I think that's a misconception, that, if you're healing and expanding your into your Christed self, that you're just going to be everybody's friends, and you're going to resonate with everybody, and everybody's going to love you, and it's going to be all kumbaya. It's
Yeah,
not.
but how could it be?
Yeah.
Because, we're all different frequencies. And so you're going to be drawn even throughout your own life to different people, to different situations, to different experiences because you are at a different level. And I don't mean it may look, it may be a higher frequency, but that doesn't mean better or worse. And I
Right.
don't mean higher or lower in a value judgment. It's just it's a higher frequency, just keeping it at the level of energy. And so where is that? Where do I feel that? How do I speak from that place? How do I sense from that place?
Yeah. And experimenting, we are a
Mm-hmm.
grand universal song, and we each have a soul song. And in music, there's the highs and there's the
Mm-hmm.
lows, and the highs and the lows. And what makes a beautiful tune and expression is resonance, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so as we're all figuring out our instrument, and we're all returning to our innate soul song, there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
some discord, and there's going to be moments where we're in resonance with people, and then we expand and we're out of resonance, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
later down in the song we're going to resonate again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this beautiful flow. Like, if you think of, we're weaving the patterns of our life, well, in
Mm-hmm.
weaving, there's intersections, and there's places where it's not close, and places where we
Yeah.
intersect, and there's ties, and there's
Mm-hmm.
where the chords go different ways, and it makes the beautiful patterning.
Yes.
And it's not
Dissonance is important as
very
well.
important. It's
To
very
know the
important.
dissonance is to know the resonance.
Absolutely. Yeah. You cannot have one without the other. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're coming out of dissonance and discovering, oh, there can be resonance that's individual.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. So, have you been seeing in your work with people certain patterns, certain commonalities or challenges that mm,
Yeah.
you see in it showing up?
Yeah. People are no longer able to hide from themselves and from the
Oh,
calling to more. The
wow.
the people that I'm that are coming into my path and that I'm working with are just like, I can't do this ignoring the inner calling anymore. I don't know how it's going to look, but I'm committed, and I'm courageous, and I'm determined, and I just
Mm,
absolutely won't say no to myself anymore.
wow.
And that is causing a lot of disturbances, because when you say yes to your higher self, some things naturally have to fall away.
Right.
And so it's that kind of like moth to flame. We like,
Mm-hmm.
people are just being drawn, and we have this beautiful experience, and the growth that
Mm-hmm.
needs to happen in that interchange happens, and then they're drawn to something else. And so it is that consciousness is rising, and it cannot be stopped. We are
Mm-hmm.
on an energy force, and it's yes, we have our free will to join it, but the consciousness is rising. It's like when the waters rise, all the boats rise. You can jump
Mm-hmm.
overboard, you can do whatever you want. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to join,
Yeah.
right? But there's a beautiful momentum of growth and healing and expansion and unity. And if we can just get out of our own way and allow ourselves to flow with it, our beautiful path shows up. And so that's what I'm noticing, is people
Mm-hmm.
are just saying, everything's falling apart. Who am I?
Yes.
And
Yeah. But
I will
everything is
find a way.
falling apart in order to create something new. And
Yeah.
that's what has to happen. I think, I'm imagining that the different civilizations that have collapsed in throughout the millennium of the existence of humanity, it's been that kind of process. It's not been oh, it was so rotten it had to disintegrate. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
yes, but it was more that that's the nature of change. that in order for change to take place, in order for the new spring growth, and here we are in spring as we're recording this, it is, as you have that new growth, it comes out of the muck, the mire, the rotten greenery that has given rise to something new.
And that's exactly it. It's like that is the earthen experience, is that decay, what we call decay, the disintegration, the loss of the individual identity when a tree dies and over the course of time comes back into the soil and then becomes the seed and gives birth to a flower or a tree, or gets washed downstream and into the ocean, whatever it is, it's that ebb and flow of life. And so going back to that blueprinting, when I had my experience and looking at that blueprint of my life, there was a lot of remodeling that had to come after that, because I had seen my truth, right? And I had seen what didn't align. And I'm like, where's the construction crew? Where's the destruction crew, right? I didn't have any guidance on that aspect of it.
Wow.
And so it's been a long journey. I didn't have anybody in my circle. I didn't know anything other than my religious upbringing. And so I was out there just getting curious. And it took years and years and years and years of curiosity and experience of going, ooh, that doesn't resonate. That kind of feels like a different construct of conformity.
Yes.
That is selling as freedom of expression and identity. And for me, personal development got that way. I was like, oh, well, I'm not succeeding because I'm not doing my affirmations right. And I'm still not like, I was like, okay, this thing is now oppressing me.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like,
maybe that's why I've never been drawn to affirmations.
Yeah. And they all have their role and things, but there was no blueprint of how to go about doing that. But the thing that's always consistent is there is decay. And if you've ever seen one of those, is it Chladni plates, the vibration plate where they put the sand, and you turn it to a frequency, and the sand is just chaos all over the place. And all of a sudden it just snaps into this beautiful pattern, and it's just stunning. And you take the resonance and you turn the frequency up, and it all falls apart, and it looks like utter chaos. And then it just snaps into another beautiful pattern. And so that's showing up, as well as that some people who have been really out there and on the forefront of being a way shower and just modeling what's possible. And here's what conscious evolution can look like. I'm finding a lot of those individuals are starting to shut down and go, I just can't do what I've been doing. And I can barely even leave the house, and they're in like their chrysalis stage again.
Yes, I know that so well.
Yeah,
I've gone through that so many times.
Yeah.
And it's earth shattering, and it's so necessary. And when we're in that place of the in between, in the void, in the I don't have any clue, when I look at myself in the mirror and I say, who are you? And I feel like I'm in that kind of state again, frankly.
Almost daily.
Almost daily.
Yes,
almost daily.
Yeah.
But I remember when I left my first marriage, and he was the father of my daughter. He was we'd been married for over 20 years, and had been on a similar spiritual path too. But it was just like that questioning that you just spoke to, that I have to keep looking. I have to keep knowing what's true. So it's not searching so much as looking, discovering.
Yeah. Being open to
being open, and then seeing what needs to be remodeled. I love that.
Yeah. And fortunately, in this time and age, we do not need to struggle alone. We can come together in community and find the opportunities to partner up next to somebody and build an internal strength and internal knowing and a skill set of how to really truly be the divine physical expression. Because the goal isn't to kill the ego and to treat this flesh suit like something you want to escape. Realizing we came and we chose this experience so that we could at one day have the unification of our divine self in a form that believed in separation. Like it's that polarity in one, the divine masculine, the divine feminine separated into this unification where we forgot, or in this body where we forgot that we're one. Yeah, into this separation. And so it's just coming back to that within this life. Yes, we are all Christ consciousness, and we're all enlightened. And yes, we all need to go grocery shopping, and we need to clean the toilet.
Yes.
And we need to shave our legs, and we need to pay the bills, and all of those things, and balancing that spiritual growth and evolution with just the 3D. How do you live in this life? And we've got so many communities popping up where you're going to find people that you resonate with. And when you
and a way to speak about it and to share about it. And
yeah.
And I think you use the word balance, and I suspect it's more than balance, because it's
harmony.
Balance is not possible, really, because change and movement is constant.
It's more harmony.
So there's something about that dance.
Yeah. And so this is a part of that too. Like, balance is a word that we've been using. Look for work-life balance, and I keep catching myself, and my friends keep catching me, like, is it balance or is it harmony? And we're like, oh yeah, it's harmony. But sort of like balance is that word that we're used to.
I use it too.
I personally am used to, and you're right. It's not, there's no balance, right?
Yeah,
because
there's no stasis.
No, there's either decay or there's growth. And life is just the sheer definition of life is the creative expression. It's always more.
Yeah.
That's why when we reach some level of achievement, we don't even skip a beat. We're like, what else? What's more?
Absolutely. The plateau is the starting place. It's that place where we get to grow something new.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited these days about how we can do that, not only within ourselves, but how we do that with each other, how we do that with one another, how we bring our unique expressions into that co-creative creationing.
Yeah. And that's getting into the co-creative and realizing that we don't have to do it all, and that we do each have unique gifts and talents. And they came into us innate. They're in that blueprint. They are in that blueprint. And there is a way to align our expression of self so that we can express that true us. And again, that goes back to everything that we've been talking about, getting into relationship with the body, mind, spirit of us. And I think that in my experience, I got really into kind of the spiritual headiness of spirituality. And I was like, this feels really ungrounding. And that's when, I kept hearing for years that the answers are in your body. The answers are in your body. The answers are in your body. And I'm like, okay, so what was my left hand? Like, what if the answer, like it, and this was my soul's saying, we're going to really ground you in your body. You're going to have every moment of your life where you feel a hand that's not there. You figured that out, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have pain that there's no, you have itches on a hand that's not there and you can't scratch it. Right. And so it drives you into that. And through that journey and experience, I was then able to heal, release the pain with the phantom hand. I still feel it, but I don't have the pain anymore. And that started with that journey of, what am I feeling inside? How do I connect with that? And how do I redefine it? How do I look at it from different perspectives? Right. So, and it's getting that grounding in the body with the spiritual awareness of the unity of self, where we have that unification and we have that stability to operate as the Christ consciousness in this grounded body, and still metaphysically travel to, in the astral plane and pay our bills on time,
because they're one and the same.
They really are. They really are. It's just, different notes in the beautiful song of self.
So how is this all of what you're speaking about, and all of what you have been on this journey to bring forward? How is this showing up or manifesting right now in your life, in your work?
It has, in the past year, my whole expression of self has shifted because I have let go of so much, and I'm allowing, or like, what innately comes through me. What are my gifts and
Mm-hmm.
talents? What
Mm-hmm.
stop struggling and trying to conform to a coach must be this and the program
Yeah.
must look like that. And like, it's like, all right, what's the unique, weird stuff that I'm here to express? And
Mm-hmm.
it's all coming through, guess what? The answers are in the body. Ask the
Ah.
right questions. Look at the blueprint. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
curious. Let's try all of these embodiment practices and all of these meditations and the breath work that will get us out of our body and in our body, and let's
Mm-hmm.
see what resonates with people. So everything that's come out of my services is now centered around embodiment so that you can express the Christ consciousness. How does
Mm-hmm.
this vessel work, and how can you truly become the commander of it and the partner with it so that we
Mm-hmm.
can express your true self? And so that's showing up in embodiment practices, that's showing up in visualizations, that's showing up in learning how to ask the right questions, that's showing up in the practical application of humaning. It's like human God 101, right? And so that's the community that I'm building. That's the year-long program that I have that has a retreat built into it, specifically for women, because
Mm-hmm.
I came into an incarnation where I was born a female and treated as a male my whole life. So I hated and feared women. And so that, out of your pain comes your purpose. And so I
Mm-hmm.
really resonate with some of the deep conflicting struggles of women and how we've sometimes been taught to hate ourselves and loathe
Mm-hmm.
ourselves and be ashamed of ourselves and hold
Mm-hmm.
up to this idealistic perfection. And you've got to be the bring home the bacon and make the bacon and feed the pig and like mow the
Yeah.
fields and like build the fence and darn the socks and just do all of the things, be feminine and
Right.
masculine at the same time, but in such a non-aligned way with the individual self. So
Mm-hmm.
long
Mm-hmm.
answer to that question, but that's
No, no. I wanted to really hear what is operant and
yeah.
how it is that you're finding expression with it all.
Yeah, and I'm
Because that
finding
is the
community.
question. That is the
Yeah,
question for our time. On
yeah,
the personal level is kind of like, what am I here to do? How is it that I'm to do that? What is most of value within my world? And how am I to be part of that?
yeah. We are in a time, I think, where the beautiful thing that I'm really stepping into is just owning my unique self and expressing
Hmm.
however I express. And there's going to be people that are attracted to it and they'll stay or they don't. But
Hmm.
I believe that we're divinely orchestrated to intersect with the right people at the right time.
Hmm.
And if we're open to it, right? And that's that trusting that intuitive
Yeah.
hit and just being curious.
Yeah. And that might be
Playful.
3 people or 300,000.
It might be, yeah. And just be playful and be curious. And, like
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven, which is within, unless you become like a little child. And children are playful and curious
Yes.
and have vivid imaginations and express, and they're really in tune with their bodies. And, they're curious and non-judgmental about the environment. And so it's getting back to
Mm-hmm.
that playful, fun way that we naturally are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, what a journey we've just been on.
I know. I know. Like you said, we could go on for hours.
Hmm. So would you tell us how someone could reach you, find you, discover you?
Yeah, moonwalkerlife.me is my website, and it's undergoing some massive changes because, like I said, in the last year, things are
Because
super
so are
shifting.
you.
Yeah, I know, right? And so
Uh-huh.
on there is my True You experience, which is for women, and it's a year-long curated program where I work with a team that has an amazing patented technology that will show you how your unique vehicle of expression is.
Hmm.
What energizes you? How do you communicate? So it's kind of like the blueprint of you. And
Hmm.
then we take that and I build out a program for each woman that will help you customize your journey within
Mm.
so that you can truly express the true you in a way that aligns with you and honors your life.
Hmm.
And so I've got that, and I'm building out a membership community, and I'll have a link probably by the time this airs. I'll be able to send that
Hmm.
with you
Hmm.
for daily practices, because I've realized that as I teach these embodiment or any practice, like learning any new skill, it takes correct practice consistently. And so I find that the students that learn it, they go back into their life and they're kind of overwhelmed, and they're like, well, when does this practice, like, can I apply it to this aspect of my life? When do I do this thing? Like, and so it's daily practices of kind of fusion of all the different embodiment experiences and exercises, and going within and experimenting. But it's a daily with, together of 1 hour that you can do it anytime you want, but it's a practice.
Yeah.
And so you can, that particular blend of practice really resonated with me. I'm going to keep doing that one. Or I want a new experience every day. Or this one really produced a really good effect in my body, and I noticed a change in my life and my relationships. I'm going to do more of that. So it's kind of like the smorgasbord, and here's a recipe I put together today. Which of this resonates? And here's another recipe, and this resonates. And so really trying to create a curated experience for people where they can find what they like.
Wow. So it's moonwalkerlife.me.
.me, and you can find me at Moonwalker Life Official on Facebook, or you can just email me at moonwalkerlife.me. And if you have questions or interests or whatever, just reach out. I do work strictly with women.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can listen to the episode and hear all the amazing, brilliant insights that Moon has shared today, and receive that and breathe that in and be curious. You can become curious. And if you're a man, you're not going to work with them. Okay. They can come and work with me.
But, if something inspired them, and just that's the whole thing, is to inspire curiosity.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be anybody's anything. But if you resonate with somebody, you just go try it out.
Right.
Go experience that person and see what falls out from it. Because there's always going to be something.
There's always
really important for us to know what we don't want. Really super important. And we have placed experiences where we're like, ooh, I didn't like that. That didn't turn out like I wanted it. And we placed that in that, ooh, that's not good category.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. Because when you know what you don't want, the more you know what you don't want, then it's a process of elimination, right? You can get real clear on what you do want. And that's kind of like that, who am I? What am I not? Helps you get real clear on who you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Moon Tucker, for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your sacred space. And I love all your audience, even though I may not know you by name. I know you by soul, by spirit, by connection. And so I just want everyone out there to know that you're perfect right as you are. Your way is the right way for you. And, we'll all connect together at the unity point.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for our listeners, our viewers for being with us today here at Wisdom Talk Radio. Join us here regularly and come back, because, we have these kind of conversations that provoke, help you discover, they bring some kind of new illumination, open a door that maybe was shut tight. So join us here regularly. And remember that you can find us on whatever your favorite place to listen to podcasts is, including on YouTube. And if you've enjoyed listening today, please leave us a review, because when you leave a review, that helps others to discover this podcast. And really, it helps people to discover and access their own inner wisdom. That's what transforms the world. And for more about how to thrive for you with your own personal quantum connection, take the Quantum Connection quiz now over at thebacainstitute.com. See you next time. Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.